Morning. I didn't say good morning because it's still not good. But as many of you know, Sunday, Mike Whaley passed away, and many of you know him as Wiley's 3D, and he was a big part of the community, and he will be missed. So I don't know if anybody's here yet watching this. I have the printers flying all at half Z height. Felt it was appropriate. Anyway, thoughts and prayers go out to his family in this difficult time. Morning 3D printer noob. And I'm going to start. Notice I didn't have the intro music going, and I didn't play the intro and all that because it just didn't feel appropriate this morning. So I'm actually going to start this stream with a moment of silence, and so if y'all want to join me in that. All right, let's get started. Hope everyone is doing as well as could be expected this morning. As Mike would say, morning, morning, morning. That's how he started every one of his streams as soon as he went live. Well, today, of course, we're not only remembering Mike, but he'd want us all to continue on. So we're going to model stuff and talk about 3D printing stuff and continue on business as close as usual. So we've got 3D printer noob Matt Johnson, Scalda's here, 3D medic Vince is here. Right, Vince? That's how he started every stream. Morning, morning, morning. And again, a big shout out to Clyde, who hosted a memorial hangout for him yesterday. It was nice catching up with everybody and sharing some of the happy memories. I am a guy who wears his emotions on his sleeve, so if I get a little choked up, I apologize. But we're going to work on some 3D models today and talk about stuff that I've 3D printed and continue on. You may notice I changed the text up above for today. Mike was always doing some crazy printer mods, and most of the time they didn't work out right out of the gate for him. So on to the show. Let's go. Let me get Blender open here. Morning, Mike. Let's see here. Blender. Move this here, so I don't need that right now. Blender, my chat, and then we'll go to the screen share. I'll move my chat out of the way. Morning, James. So, most of you have probably seen on Twitter, I was commissioned by Pooch at Ripcord to design some stuff for him to showcase his battle pack filament. That's the military colored filaments that he's making, and so I designed this little Jeep, and it's designed to use minimal supports. It snaps together, with the exception of the steering wheel and the roof. They have to be glued on, but everything else is press fit or snap together. And it fits on a 200 by 200 build plate, so anybody with a printer that's, Ender 3, Prusa Mark 3, whatever, that neighborhood of printers, it will fit on your print bed. It prints in minimal pieces. The frame contains the interior as well, so that's all one piece. It doesn't give you as many options as some of my previous vehicles as far as color schemes and things like that, but it's also super easy to assemble. You print the frame, you print this lower body section, you print the upper body, and then wheels and tires, the roof, and then you just snap it all together. A couple drops of glue here, a drop of glue on the steering wheel, and that's all the gluing there is. Everything else is snap fit together. We'll talk about those snap connectors a little bit as I get to working on stuff today. Sorry if I'm not fully focused today. I also designed using the same snap fit procedures, a little jet ski, a jet ski, and it snaps together as well. It's just you print the bottom, you print the green piece up here at the top, the seat, and the handlebars. Now there's no glue. There's no glue. Minimal supports. There are some supports underneath here, and you can see that mine didn't come off all that clean. There's some supports we're touching the build plate under here, and I really couldn't get away from that because I really needed the bottom to have that shape. The reason being is I intended for it to float, and if you saw on Twitter, I put up a poll first to see what everybody thought was going to happen, and 75% of people said it would not float, that it would turn over on its side, much like the Benchy does. John, trolling for dollars. Haven't seen you around in a while, man. Hope you're doing well. You're working nights, right? But anyhow, so I put it in the sink with water, and it floated. And I'm not positive that had anything to do with it, but it's extremely stable. And the thought is the water under here, doing the two scoop outs like that, would give it more surface area sitting on the water and make it more stable. And it floats. It floats fairly well. In the video, it was kind of cocked off to the side a little bit, but that was because the second figure I sat on the back. So I had two figures on it when I put it in the sink. The second figure I put on the back was leaning off to one side a little bit, so it caused the whole thing to lean a little bit. But yeah, it does float. I did change the design just a little bit after that because I didn't like how wide the front is. So as you can see in the model on the screen, I tapered the front nose a little bit more. So but it should still float. I don't think that's going to affect anything. I'll print another version of it when I get a chance. And then I've also been working on a lifted version of the Rep Ranger. So that required me to change up the frame a little bit. I changed up the frame, so now you got to print 2 axles that also snap fit onto it. They snap fit into the bottom. There's no glue involved in anything that's on this bit here. I haven't printed the top yet because I have something special in mind for that, which I cannot do yet. But I have the means on the way to do so. And stay tuned. You'll see what I'm talking about. Tomorrow night. By tomorrow night. Morning, Techie Dad. So by tomorrow night, you'll be able to. I'll post on Twitter when it happens, when I get what is coming in, and I'll spill the beans a little bit then as far as what my plan is for the top piece that I can't print yet, that I have to wait until I receive my shipment tomorrow. As you can see, the wheels roll nicely. The lifted version's got a little bit beefier tires. You can see that. Put them side by side here. A little beefier tires, a little more ground clearance. But nothing that was changed on it to make the lift kit version changes anything as far as being able to fit on the build plate, and it still keeps supports to a minimum. It really doesn't add much to the assembly either. Just one more print to print the 2 axles, and then they snap into the bottom of the new frame. This one, the axles are modeled into the frame. So when you print the frame, you print the axles at the same time. That is the one. The standard height version is what is on Gumroad, which only one person has bought so far, but. Don't do that, John. That's not good. It's bad. So, it prints with minimal supports. It fits on a 200 by 200 build plate. Minimal gluing. And it represents an evolution in my modeling process. So now let's take a look at the snap connectors that I was talking about. Where's that? There it is. Let's take a look at the snap connectors. So, actually, let's hide that again. These snap connectors are open source, and they were found thanks to Pooch pointing me in the right direction. It's the same snap connectors he uses on the rollers for the rep box. So there's this little ball joint looking piece, and it snaps into this, which can be printed without support. You think so, James? It does kind of look like something inappropriate, doesn't it? But anyway, yeah. So the snap connectors they were open source, and it was just a matter of integrating them into the model. The only thing I can say that's a downside to the snap connectors is if you over squish your first layer at all, you're going to have a little difficulty snapping them together. I over squished the first layer on this red piece here, and I had to give it a little gentle persuasion to get the snap connectors to go. But they did snap, even with the little bit of elephant's foot on the bottom of the print. And now that they're snapped down, I mean, it's never coming apart again. You would break it. You would break the piece before it would come apart. That's the only way it's coming apart. You're gonna have to break it. Morning, Robbie. Canadian gutter cups. You saying James has his mind in the gutter? I don't believe that. No, not James. So yeah, minimal supports, prints on a 200 by 200 bed. Very few pieces. Let's see. I guess if you were printing the top the same color as the frame like I did, you could actually put the top and the frame on the same print and print them together. So that would be one print. I guess you could put the wheels in the same print with the lower body. I never trust printing more than one piece at a time usually on most stuff, because it seems like invariably what happens is one of those parts has some adhesion issue or something at some point, and then I'm spending all of my time trying to get that part to recover well enough that the filament being extruded for that part, even though that part is now gone, is worthless, is making other parts messy and trying to destroy the whole print. So usually I just print one thing at a time. I'll print the 4 wheels together, I'll print the 4 tires together, and then but yeah, you print the base, the frame, you print the lower body, print the upper body. Like I said, you could put the roof in the same print, but the roof is like a 30-minute print, 35-minute, something like that. It's nothing. And the longest print involved in all this is the frame. The frame is about 6.5 hours. But you could print the whole thing in, depending upon how many printers you have and how fast they print, you can print the whole thing. Mine was 27 hours of print time. So I spread that across 2 days, and in 2 days I had this. The weapons that are designed for it, what did I do with them? The weapons that are designed for it, you'll notice these little hex holes all over the body. They're designed, they have little pegs on them. They're designed to peg in, which this one I still gonna need to clean up a little bit. But they peg in. The turret has a single snap connector on it, so the base of the turret snaps into the turret arm, and then because it's only the single snap connector, it will rotate. And let's see, what did I do with those? Here they are. Then here are some little Gatling guns that I designed to print in the 2 hex long weapon slots. They peg right in. Or if you prefer, you can peg them into the back in the 2 weapon slot, the 2 hex slot back there. The Gatling guns and the turret are included in the file some Gumroad, as well as the missile launcher for the turret, so you can pull that gun off. And again, I got some cleanup to do on this one too, but there we go. Peg that in instead of the gun. You could print 4 Gatling guns and put 2 in the back and 2 in the front. So you have options with pegging in the weapons and stuff. And then, as you saw in the Blender file here, I'm working on a trailer to tow the jet ski. There's a square hole in the rear bumper that is designed to snap in a trailer hitch. So I've got the trailer hitch designed. I just haven't printed it out yet. Print out the trailer hitch. I'm going to do that at the same time as I print out the trailer. But the trailer's not quite ready. That's what we're probably going to finish up today. Because I've got all the parts modeled for the trailer, and now it's just going in, and I need to add the snap connectors to it, because the fender flares are going to snap in. There are snap connectors on the axle. It uses the same axle, wheels, and tires as the Rep Ranger Jeep. So as I move forward, I'll be able to take these modular pieces and use them across continued new models. So it will speed up the process of making more models, making all of these parts modular and interchangeable. Morning, Techno Geek. It has been a while. Morning, Ashley. So I'll show you how I put the model snap connectors in today. That's because we got to put snap connectors in the fender flares. The trailer that I have designed, I put a hinge in the middle here, and the part that the jet ski sits on is hinged, so when the jet ski isn't on it, it should tilt this whole part here back, and then the weight of the jet ski should hold it down when it's on there. Yep, Arlie Ermy, he was great. So yeah, that's where we're at with the Rep Ranger is done. The jet ski is done. Now I'm modeling the trailer for the jet ski. Everything yet here. Trailer body. Or trailer frame. Trailer frame. Fender. Trailer. I need a trailer. Put a trailer fender. Yeah, and unfortunately, Hasbro's not been making much in the way of GI Joes anymore. Hopefully, that's going to change because they have a movie coming next year. They've got a Snake Eyes movie. It's centering around the character Snake Eyes, and morning, Michael Cassell. It's it's probably the GI Joe brand's last, at least immediate hope for any sort of revival. So if the movie does well, Hasbro will start pumping out GI Joe toys again. If the movie doesn't do well, it could be the death of the franchise, really, which would be sad because it's been around forever. Yeah, they were supposed to already be in principal photography on the movie, but it got delayed because the director got the green light on another project he was working on, so he left the movie temporarily to go film another movie, and so that pushed the date back on the movie. I think they're what was it? It was October or November of next year. So October or November of 2020 is when the Snake Eyes movie is due to drop. And if the Snake Eyes movie does well, I'm sure, like I said, there will be new toys to go with it. And hopefully it'll be a little revival of the brand. But that won't stop me because I'm making my own vehicles that are just compatible with GI Joe. Well, I think the problem that GI Joe has been facing, and this is what I believe to be the case, like Transformers, for instance, the Transformers franchise for Hasbro makes massive amounts of money internationally, worldwide. But G.I. Joe was always marketed as a real American hero. How do you get other countries to care about, internationally, a real American hero? So I think they need to rebrand the franchise a little bit. I mean, you can keep the G.I. Joe name, but you need to find some way to make it more internationally appealing. And so I think that's the challenge they're presently faced with, is making it more interesting to a younger generation and making it more interesting internationally. So, yeah, knowing is half the battle. So I think that's the challenges that they've been facing, and I think that's what has hurt the brand. I mean, because you're talking about a toy line that started off as the big 12-inch figures, a toy line that's been around for over 50 years, and the problem is in today's society it needs to adapt to modern times a little. So we'll see if they're able to do that with the new Snake Eyes movie that's coming out. And if so, the only thing that I'm bummed out about, I mean, I know Snake Eyes is the most popular character in G.I. Joe's franchise's history. But the last movie that they did, the one with Dwayne Johnson in it, they centered things too heavily around the whole ninja aspect of things. So then, literally, everything had ninja slapped on it. Every toy that came out was a ninja combat cruiser, and it was it was corny as all get out. Oh, Robbie, don't no. Uh, so yeah, they're if the new Snake Eyes movie does well, I don't want to see ninja thrown on everything. Um, the person who played Snake Eyes in the first two movies will not be reprising the role of Snake Eyes, um, because of an age thing. Because this is supposed to be the origin story of Snake Eyes, so this will be going back a ways, and Ray Park played Snake Eyes in the first two GI Joe movies, the ones that are now being pretty much abandoned, and Snake Eyes has been confirmed to be a reboot of the franchise. But the first two movies that they did, Rise of Cobra and Retaliation, where Ray Park was playing Snake Eyes. And if you don't know who, it's not a prequel as much as it is a reboot. They never did show his face, and that is because Snake Eyes was disfigured. Yeah, it's a reboot, and Snake Eyes it never shows his face because he's disfigured. Um, Ray Park played him in those first two movies, and Ray Park, if you don't know who Ray Park is, educate yourself because he's a bad man. Ray Park played Darth Maul in Episode 1. And Ray Park is a legitimate, like, martial arts bad man. He also played Toad in the X-Men movies, but that's, you know. Well, that's true. Yeah, Snake Eyes will be easy to recast because you never see his face, but they'll have to find another, legit martial arts actor to do the role. But yeah, there's been so many versions of the Snake Eyes figure already. Um, I think what's the total up to now? It's 38 something. I don't know, something like that. There's been so many so many ridiculous number of Snake Eyes figures, and having a Snake Eyes movie just means we're going to get a half a dozen more Snake Eyes figures because there will be different outfits that they'll sell figures for and things like that, and so we'll end up with a bunch of new Snake Eyes figures, and there's been enough Snake Eyes figures. But it's hard for them to move away from their most iconic figure. Now, the comic series, they killed Snake Eyes off recently, and then replaced him with a female character who wears the same visor. Are we back? Or do I need to start a new stream? Yay, back. Yeah, just suddenly I was looking at a black screen. Two black screens because I have two monitors. The computer just shut off. I need to fast track the new computer thing. I've been holding off on the new computer thing because of AMD's new processors are coming out in less than a month. So, depending upon availability and price, I was thinking of going with the third gen Ryzen. So, I apologize. Sorry, everybody. Computers. What are you gonna do? So, thank you for hanging in there with me. Where were we? Yes, female Snake Eyes. Dawn Moreno, which I haven't read the comic, so I don't know how they handled the whole thing, but she's now Snake Eyes. skipped for a second. It may just be because the computer's still in the process of starting back up. It could be messing with things. Might be dropping some frames. Yeah, the hard drive over here is still whirring away trying to get everything back up and going. I jumped back into the stream as quickly as I could, and that might not have been the best idea. Which of course it now I gotta reopen Blender, and all the stuff I just renamed I forgot to save, so I gotta rename it all again. Luckily I didn't make any major changes. I lost in one of those restarts like 3 hours of work the other day on updating, well, retrofitting the rep chopper. I lost like 3 hours of work the other day, and I'm just because I'm modifying the rep chopper to use the snap fit connectors for assembly, and the hex weapon system, so it can swap weapons with other vehicles that are going to use the hex system. Yeah, I got like tunnel vision on what I was working on and forgot to hit, Control S and hit enter every once in a while. So yeah, 3 hours down the drain that now I gotta start all over. And I gotta get that done. That's also commissioned by Pooch, so that's high on the priority list to get done. Yeah, I was when it shut off. I'm like, do I even bother trying to get it restarted? But then I thought there could be some people waiting. There were actually people here and chatting, so it's like I'll fight through it. Says we have 5 concurrent viewers now, so what are you gonna do? Well, and starting the stream this morning, um, I had the same issue that Chris Riley had the other day, where YouTube just randomly changed the stream key on me. So I had to. I tried starting the stream, and like it wasn't working. I'm like, why is this not working? And then I checked the stream key that they had on YouTube versus the stream key that I had in OBS, and they were no longer the same. So I don't know what YouTube's doing there. But I should have the jet ski trailer finished up today if the computer cooperates, and be able to start printing it. And then once I get the print started on it, I will, or all the parts ready to print, and I will jump back in on redoing the stuff that I had redone on redoing the stuff I was redoing on the rep chopper. But yeah, the new computer thing, like I said, I've been waiting because July 7th is when the new AMD processors come out, and that creates a couple of moments of pause for me with things. It's like, do I go with the 3rd gen AMD chip? The other thing is the 2nd gen AMD chips should get cheaper when the 3rd gen ones come out. If history holds true, when the new generation comes out, the previous generation gets cheaper. So I'm like, if I can wait another month, I could either get the newest and best, or I could save a bunch of money on the 2nd gen processors that are available now, which should be more than enough for what I'm doing. So which I may end up going that route, but like I said, prices should change dramatically July 7th. So if I could say, build the same computer that if I were to buy parts and build one today, July 7th, and save $200 or $300, I just got to get this computer to last that long. Because I'm not made of money. I'm a musician for a living. We just got done with CMA Fest, which, yes, brings lots of people to Nashville. But they just watched, guys with number one hits and that were big stars down at the riverfront for free. And then they come to the club. Why are they going to give money to some guy they've never heard of? 3D Maker Kid, how are you today? No, you just joined us, but yeah, the printers. I have all the printers at Half Z, in memorial for Mike Whaley. It's like flying a flag at Half Mast, I guess. That was my thought there. So got the printers at Half Z. We'll miss him. And I took down the text that all the subscribe and follow me on Twitter stuff and replaced it with a message above. And for today. It's a small gesture, but I figure, I thought it was appropriate for a loss in the 3D printing community to fly my printers at Half Z. Yeah, if he were here, he'd have been giving me crap about my computer crashing right now. He was good at giving people crap. And we loved him for it. Alrighty, well, I guess I need to open Blender back up. I'm almost scared, thinking maybe the extra load on the computer was what killed it. So I hope I don't kill the stream here. But I'm firing Blender back up. Yeah, yeah. Mike used to own a bar, and he got in a little trouble. He got in a little trouble, and he answered the questions of the reporter in typical Mike fashion. Badly. uh, yes, he was a character. That's for sure. Absolutely for sure, Ashley. As I said, mornings on YouTube will never be the same. All right, so we've got Blender open back up. Go back to the screen share. And to quote Chris Riley about this time about my computer, don't break, don't break, don't break. You just gotta last another month. Come on. All right, so I gotta name all that stuff again. All right, where did I? Yeah, trailer frame. And this was where. There it is. Trailer fender. Trailer back. That way, all the stuff that's trailer related will be down here next to each other. And now, Control S, click, saved. Now, if the computer dies on me, I won't have to rename that stuff again or remember to rename it again. Hi, Don. Pop the chat back out. I didn't do that. Pop out chat. I think the hardest part about Mike passing was, you know, most of the time it seems when you lose somebody, you get a little time to prepare. You know, they go to the hospital and they're in bad shape, and you have time to kind of mentally prepare yourself for that. But we knew Mike was in a lot of pain, and we knew he hadn't been feeling well lately, but we didn't, you know, I don't think any of us realized it was at that point. It would be cool if Candy would pick up the ball and run with it. His 11-year-old daughter. You know, she built the Ender 3 with him, and she was definitely interested in 3D printing, but I don't know how much she learned about it. Yeah. Oh, which, dang it! I just noticed it lost the message I had put up above. Oh wait, no, I didn't. That's just not on the screen share. Let me add that real quick. Text to. Okay. Not you. No. God. Wait, I gotta go back over here and get this one. I forgot to add it to the screen share. There we go. All right. Now it's on the screen share. May heaven have an endless supply of filament and all your printer mods work no matter how crazy they are. I don't know if she got her black belt or not. Yeah, she does have a great community helper. You're right. It would be cool to see her, you know, continue her father's legacy. But you know, I don't even know if that's something that she would be interested in doing. You know, I don't know how much she learned about it. I don't know how truly interested she was, and it could be painful. You know, um, for her. You know, because she's going to associate 3D printing with her dad. So, I mean, she may not want to look at another 3D printer as long as she lives. Yeah, I'm sure right now, at least right now anyway, um, anything 3D printing related is painful to even think of. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, 3D printing related stuff right now is just going to make her think of her dad, and she could resent it, you know. So, I don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell. But it would, you know, it would be cool if she picked up the legacy and ran with it. Um, Obviously, she wouldn't be able to do a morning stream. I haven't heard anything yet. Um, Thank you, Robbie Mack, for showing that. I assume that's who it was because it's the only mod that I see here. Um, yeah, the I think remembering him will be um, easier because of the YouTube stuff. She'll be able to go back and watch those streams and things like that. So, it's a different age we live in. Used to be when somebody passed, you had, all you had to remember them by were pictures, or if you had home movies, you had that. But, now there's stuff out all over the internet, pictures and videos and things like that. And, yeah, YouTube doesn't take them down. So they'll be there for years, as long as YouTube exists. So, she'll always have that to look back on. Um, I don't think so. Walter stumbled across one of his old channels the other day that he hadn't posted to for years. Yeah, Joe reached out to Brenda. I know he's got her on Facebook, and he sent her a private message, but he said that she hadn't responded to it last I talked to him. Um, and then um, Ryan Buttram also reached out and said if there's anything we can do to let him know. Which I haven't seen Mr. Buttram this morning. I know that the community will come together for something if they give us the opportunity to do so. Yeah, and if all else fails, his mailing address was in the description of all of his videos. Yeah, I don't think YouTube manages that stuff on a like micromanages that stuff because there are videos that that have been up for years and channels that people don't post to anymore that they're still around. Robbie, I did get to meet your wingman in person for like 5 seconds. He was in Nashville this past weekend, and he came to my show at the stage on Friday. And of course, I basically only got to see him for a second. The female singer in my band was singing a song, so I took the opportunity to run to the restroom, and so I ran into him on the way back from the restroom, and he handed me some maker coins, um, which I gotta ask him again what filaments they were. He's trying to tell me about what filaments each one was printed with, and I'm like, I really gotta get back to the stage. Uh, so I only half caught it. Yeah, Vince, I think that's about it. Unless someone goes in and actively removes it. I mean, who knows? Brenda or Candy could go in and dismantle the channel if they decide to do that. I mean, if it's something that's a source of pain for them or whatever, which would be unfortunate, I think. Ben, good afternoon for you, sir. So I think those videos, unless Brenda or Candy go in and take down the channel or something, I think those videos will be available for years to come. Um, Not only for them, but for those of us who will miss him. Yeah, I hope someone doesn't remove it accidentally either. Yeah, I think YouTube was really good for him. Because he wasn't, you know, in the health condition that he was in there, the last year or so. He didn't get out much, and it gave him some interaction and friends. I was telling one of my bandmates last night that I'm not a guy that has a lot of friends. Ever since I moved to Tennessee, I don't really have very many like in person friend connections, and I have tons of acquaintances, but not people that I hang out with and talk to on a friend based level. I have acquaintances, I have employees, employers, that sort of thing. But that's what this YouTube community is for me, is friends. And so finding out Sunday night, coming home from work, because um, CMA Fest craziness, my wife drove me down on uh, Sunday just in case I had to be like dropped off and then her park and meet me afterwards. So but we got to the parking garage plenty of time and we both walked down together. um, so she was driving on the way home, and so I'm on Twitter sitting in the passenger seat, and that's when I saw it, and it literally felt like somebody punched me in the gut. But you know he was in a lot of pain, and now he's not. The missing in part, that's the part of us that's a little selfish. But yeah, I don't think any of us knew he was that bad off. The message that Candy used his phone and got on Discord, and I don't really think she knew, where and how the whole Discord thing worked, because her post she made on Papal's Projects Discord page, but she got his phone and made a post on Papal's Project Discord page, that was informing us that Mike had passed away, and she said that he died naturally, which I can only assume means in his sleep. And sleep is something he didn't do very often. Yeah, he posted on Papal's Projects Discord, or she did, about his passing, and said that he died naturally, which, like I said, I can only assume means in his sleep. But he had diabetes and everything else, so and was in a lot of pain. So it wasn't. It was a shock, but I guess it wasn't a complete shock. just knowing that his health wasn't the greatest. But I think we all assumed we had, more time. Morning, Red Light. Yes, he will be missed. You say what you will about the guy, but nobody rolled with a fail the way that Mike did. He would break the mirror on his build plate and he'd just slice another model and print in the spot that's not broken. He'd buy a whole package of mirrors to be cutting mirrors for replacement build plates. He'd break them trying to cut them, and he'd just move the broken glass out of the way and pull another one out of the package and start trying to cut it. I think it's just Papaw's projects. I don't know. I'm subscribed to him. I'd have to go look. Um, but it was on his Discord channel where Candy posted that. But if Candy's checking in on his phone at you know or on his computer, whatever she's using to check in on and make the post with on his account, I believe it was on his phone, is what she said. Um, any message to reach out to her could possibly be done by reaching out to his account on Discord. That's true. He didn't have a care in the world, and I think his printer mods and stuff that he did, even though they often backfired or went wrong, he was fearless in most of us, we don't attempt those kind of things because, like, our printer works. Why am I going to take it apart and do this to it when I could break it? A lot of us have that fear holding us back, and Mike didn't. Mike didn't care if he broke the machine. I'll figure it out, make it work one way or another. you know um, how many times did you hear him say, I ain't got nothing else to do? you know He'd have his 8 hour long Google Hangout streams, fall asleep in his chair during the stream. But yeah, 48's too young. 48's too young. He might have looked like he was 68, but he was only 48. I'm like, he was only 6 years older than me. Yeah, he'd break a mirror trying to cut it, and he'd cuss up a storm for a minute. Then he'd just slide all the broken glass off in the trash can and pull another mirror tile out of the package and start cutting on it. Well, happy belated birthday, Don. And yeah, it just goes to show you, man. We never know how long we've got. Yeah, the picture on his aunt's Facebook page didn't look like the same guy. It was from 10 years ago, and it just goes to show you, his health, how rough the last 10 years have been on him. Looked like a totally different person. But and she said that's how she chose to remember him. But that's not the Mike we knew. That's the Mike we spent the last year with. In those those yellow 3D printed glasses. I didn't see that one. I didn't see that one, Robbie. Yeah, he was. You know they talk about the phrase herding cats, and he was always literally herding cats. They had all those kittens running around the house, and I think they had another pregnant cat in the house right now. Candy ran out and caught another one out in the wild that was pregnant. But he had a good heart. You know, he was a good guy. All the inappropriate gnomes that he kept leaving on Walter's table at Murph. Every time Walter'd get up and walk away from his table, he'd come back to inappropriate gnomes of all shapes, sizes, colors. He couldn't escape it. Which it was making Walter mad, but now looking back on it, you know, he laughs. All right, Robbie. I don't know how much longer I'm going to run today, but I'm just kind of reminiscing about Mike now. I had planned to do so many things today, but then that computer crash just kind of derailed me. Yeah, at the time it made Walter mad, but now he looks back on it and laughs. And he said he still got them. He still got all those inappropriate gnomes that Mike kept sneaking over and leaving on his table. Yeah, I wish I could have went to Murph. It it's funny how much of an impact someone can make on your life in just a year. Because that's about all the time that I knew it. But we'd spend these morning streams with him and go into the hangouts with him and things like that. You know, it, almost every day. And there for a long time, it was like 8 hours a day. Right. Yeah. Exactly. But I think today's technology. That's one of the things about it is it brings people that are far away closer together. The irony is it also separates you from people that you are immediately close to because you're spending time out there instead of in here. But yeah, so the irony is it drives you farther away from the people you're physically close to and brings you closer to the people you're physically far away from. But yeah, we're all gonna miss him. He was a part of this community in a big part. You know. So no, you know, we'll miss him for sure. There's not another one like him. Right, for a small channel, he did. He did have a big reach. Well, and that's the thing, live streaming channels don't metrically do as well on YouTube. It's just reality. I mean, that's the way it is. The best way to gain subscribers and viewers is content like Chris Riley does, edited videos that are short, to the point, and show something that people are interested in. You want to grow a YouTube channel, that's the way you do it. If you don't really care about the growth of a channel, if you're just wanting to do your thing, whatever your thing is, then a live stream channel is great. That's this channel. If it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It doesn't. It has no determination in what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to make a living on YouTube. I already have a job, and I have the greatest job in the world. So I just do what I want to do on YouTube, and you guys show up, and I'm thankful for it. But if the channel never gets bigger than, what am I at, 180 something subscribers? I don't know. I don't even know. If it never gets bigger than 180 something subscribers, and I never have more than 8, 9, 10 people hanging out with me in these chats, that's great. That's fine. I I'm not looking to be Joel Telling or Tom Sandlatterer. Exactly. Yeah. Never let the machines win. I was explaining to my bandmate last night that it's like he was my friend. I never met him in person, but Mike was my friend. So it sucks. We'll miss him. James has no sound. So James can't hear me. It's probably best if you can't hear me anyway. Or I guess he has, yeah, been listening at my desk, can't log in from a work computer to participate. Okay. Yeah, I really wish I could have went to Murph, and I just couldn't make it happen. And I've been working on trying to make Earth possible, um, since it's in October, which is a little slower time for me. I wouldn't be losing out on as much money. Murph just happens at a really bad time for me, job wise, because you're looking at March. Well, I just suffered December through February, the slowest part of the year, where I have made very little money, and so I haven't stockpiled anything. The bank account is about as dry as it gets, and March is about the time it starts picking back up, start making money again. And so then, while I'm trying to rebuild my depleted uh, funds, as it were, is when that comes about, and I can't justify taking the time away to do it. Earth may be possible. That's the time things are slowing down, and the bank accounts aren't so empty. So I don't know. I might be able to swing that. Big fan of filming videos that don't require me to wear pants. I am wearing pants right now. And I also thought it was appropriate to be, in mourning. I was dressed in black today. James is hilarious. So yeah, we're gonna miss him for sure. He was one of the good ones. A lot of people get caught up in politics, or they get caught up in gimme, gimme, gimme. And Mike was never that way. You know. Oh, that'd be great. Red light. That'd be awesome. Come on down to Nashville. But if you do and you're coming to see a show, uh, uh, plan on sticking around to the end of the show when I'll have a little time to talk. Mr. Buttram came to the show, and it was during the show, and he left before the show was over. So I literally had like 5 seconds to just say, "Hey, man," and he's handing me stuff and telling me all the filaments it's printed with. I'm like, "It's cool. That's great. I gotta get back on stage now." Yeah, I think if you're separating very far from what your channel is known for, it's best to start another channel. Um, my son's been talking, for years that he'd like a YouTube channel, and I'm thinking we might start another channel for me and him because he's interested in gaming stuff and stuff like that, and I don't feel like turning him loose all on his own on YouTube just yet. And besides, we've got a perfect name for it anyway, because his name is Rhett and my name is Rick. We were gonna Rhett or Rick, play on rhetoric. All kinds, mostly mostly stuff on like his phone and things like what's that game? Bid Heroes, things like that. He likes those kind of games. But he also plays on his Switch and his PS4 and things like that. Um, and then he wants to do like game reviews and game tips um, and he also likes to do silly things like eating hot stuff challenges and things like that. And so if we had the channel where the whole premise of the channel is it could be pretty much anything. It's just it's whatever strikes our fancy at the time. Thanks, James. Have fun, man, at your desk. So you know we thought about making a channel, and we call the channel Rhetoric because it's play on the word rhetoric, and his name is Rhett, my name is Rick. It's natural. Um, I've got my music channel where my live performances and stuff get posted. James has his Face the Music channel where he plays music on his face. Whoops. And then my wife wants to start a channel too, and she also wants to start a podcast, and she wants me to co-host it with her. She hasn't picked a subject for the podcast yet, though. But like, she wants to do videos of like product reviews and stuff like that. Like the other day, we bought a Ninja Foodie, and so she played around with how we would do that kind of stuff. Posting a we did a live stream on Facebook of cooking our first thing with the Ninja Foodie, which it came out okay for a first time. So, she'd like to do a channel for that sort of thing, review the products that we buy and use in our home, and then she wants to start a podcast. She was in radio for like 10 years. Um, she was co-host of the morning show at KZNN in Rolla. She was also worked for several other stations along the way. Um, she was a producer for several radio shows and 710 a.m. talk radio in Kansas City. So she's got a broadcasting degree, a 4-year broadcasting degree, and used to work in radio, and she's thinking about a podcast would be kind of her release for something that she loved to do, and she quit doing because it didn't make enough money, and you work too long hours. Morning, Brian. Because working in radio, you end up working, in order to make any money at all, you work 80, 90 hours a week, and still you're making 30, 40 grand a year. Yeah, so, and my son wanted a channel before I even made this channel. Yeah. He's wanted one for a long time, but I told him to come up with a good game plan for what he wants to, for what his content is going to be and things like that before we get involved in something like that. And then my wife came up with the name Rhetoric as a play on the words rhetoric. And I think it could work. We can play video games and that sort of things on it. And then like I said, my wife wants a release for all that broadcasting stuff that she loved to do and doesn't get to do much anymore. Doesn't get to do it all anymore. So she wants to do a podcast, and she wants to do a channel as well. Well, and she may not even do YouTube. She may do something else. Like I said, we did Facebook live stream the other day of firing up the Ninja Foodie for the first time, and I cooked a piece of chicken. I don't think I did it right. Either I didn't do it right or something. But tonight I'm going to cook our whole dinner using the Ninja Foodie. That's we're gonna give it a try. She wanted this thing, and I told her, look, I said, this is going to end up where the bread maker ended up, and the ice cream maker ended up, and the sandwich press ended up, and the George Foreman grill. This is going to end up where all those things ended up. We're going to spend money on this, and a few months from now, it's going to be shoved in a box out in the garage, or shoved under the counter in the kitchen. But she wanted it. Yeah, we've got it's a panini press, and you switch the plates out on it to make quesadillas and all sorts of stuff. It's in the kitchen, tucked away in the cabinet under the counter right now. And there's a George Foreman grill out in the garage in a box somewhere, and a bread machine and an ice cream maker. She sees these things and thinks they're cool, and then they turn out to be more work or trouble than just doing it the old-fashioned way. And so we just go back to doing it the old-fashioned way. Or it turns out to be something we don't really need. Yeah. Which we used the bread machine a little bit, a few times. And then it was noisy, and it was a mess, and it sucked to clean up. And then you'd make bread that tasted pretty good, but we didn't have like the electric knife to cut it. So you try cutting the bread with that kind of crust with a regular knife, and you end up just smashing a loaf down. So then it wasn't what it was all cracked up to be. And then the ice cream maker was a huge ordeal, putting in the ice and the salt and the, yeah, it wasn't ideal. Walter, morning. Glad you could stop in for a minute. We've been talking about all kinds of crap this morning. We haven't been doing much 3D printing stuff. Um, Walter, I think you could appreciate this. I have the printers all at half Z, um, in honor of Mike. It's like it's what I thought a 3D printing person would do instead of flying a flag at half mast, is to fly their printer's Z axis at half mast. Yeah, Brian, I just thought it was the equivalent to flying a flag at half mast for the 3D printing community. I don't know. Yeah, there you go. Our None of our streams will ever be the same. Not only missing his streams, but him popping into all of our streams. It didn't matter what time of day you streamed, Mike would be there. Even the European guys were like, he would pop into my streams, and they would happen in our time at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Mike would be there. I couldn't find any today. I did a quick Google search. I was looking for some $10 filament. Nobody's got any right now. In honor of Mike, I was going to order a roll of $10 filament if I could find any, but the cheapest I could find was $18, and he'd be $18. I could almost buy 2 rolls of filament for that. He determined something's value by how many rolls of filament he could get for it for that amount. Because he was always, I don't know how, he was always tracking down some $10 cheap filament, and but he wasn't selfish with it. He would order what he wanted to order, and then he'd share the link with the rest of us. And it didn't matter if the filament was complete crap. But I did a quick search on Amazon looking for some $10 filament and was going to order it on stream today. But the cheapest filament they had was $16.99. I'm like, no, Mike wouldn't have done that. Mike wouldn't have bought $16.99 filament. So yeah, if Amazon would have had a roll of $10 filament for a kilo, I'd have ordered it on stream today. Maybe that's what we need to do. We need to find a filament manufacturer who will have a sale in his honor and sell $10 filament for a day. If anybody knows any filament manufacturers would be willing to do that. Because he was always looking for that $10 kilo of filament. A particular color. I would say yellow because of those yellow 3D printed glasses that he always wore. Y'all remember the yellow 3D printed glasses? Although he'd print with anything as long as he could get it cheap, including weed whacker filament, weed whacker stuff that he nearly passed out while using because he didn't have it. Yeah, but the yellow ones always stick out so much in my mind, because it was such a in your face kind of. Ah. Later, Walter. But the yellow ones were always so in your face, They were on his face, but they were in your face. And yeah, if we can find a filament manufacturer to sell like 1 kilo spools of yellow PLA for $10 for even a day, just in honor of his memory. And then he cut the sleeves off all of his shirts. It was one of a kind. We'll miss him. All right, guys. Well, I'm not going to get anything accomplished this morning after all. Been at this for an hour and a half, and my hard drive's starting to make funky noises again. So I'm wondering if the computer's about to die a horrible death like it did earlier. But thank you guys for hanging out today. I'm going to go ahead and call it for today. But y'all keep Mike in your memory, and we will see you guys in the next one. I think D expressed some interest in maybe picking up the morning hangout style streams on I think he said Mondays and Fridays. I don't know if anyone's going to pick up anything for Wednesdays or not, but you know there will be some continued morning hangout style streams. Like I said, D is planning on picking up. He said Mondays and Fridays, and so we'll continue to hang out together and spend time with one another. I plan to continue streaming on Tuesdays. Maybe I'll do an occasional hangout stream myself. I don't know. And we need to keep that sort of thing going. And I know Mr. Buttram is doing he does a Saturday night hangout style stream, which I can never be a part of because I'm at work. And but the 3D printing community needs to stick together and keep hanging out together, because you never know how much time we have with each other. So those that you're friends with and your family, make sure you hug them more and let them know how much you appreciate them. So thank you guys so much for hanging out today, and we'll see you all in the next one. God bless.